Okay, hello. We're here on the Saturday of Grimmfest 2017. It's a busy, busy day, and we're screening a movie called Double Date coming up very soon. And I'm very pleased to be joined by Danny Morgan, who's the the writer and star of the movie.
Yep.
And we've got Matt Wilkinson, who's the producer of the movie, with me today. So, could you tell us a little bit about the film? I'd like to know kind of how it came about, because this is your first feature, I think, as a writer.
Yeah, first feature that I'd written. I've done a bunch of shorts with Ben, the director.
Had you?
Yeah, we did a few shorts that are still on YouTube.
Yeah.
Did one about a 30-year-old alcoholic, depressed Ron Weasley, who I played. And
it's meant to be Ron Weasley.
It's meant to be Ron Weasley.
Brilliant.
He's in his flat and he's invited Harry and Hermione to his party, but they don't turn up. So he gets really angry and drunk, and so it was just me and Ben mucking about really, and then had a go at writing a full-length script. It was a real all over the shop, so I didn't know what I was doing. Then luckily met this man Matt in a bar.
Right.
True story.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He doesn't remember it.
I don't remember meeting him, but I woke up with his business card in my wallet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you didn't know each other?
No idea.
Actually, I knew who Danny was because a casting director friend of mine had mentioned Danny for another project that I was doing.
Right.
So he was drunk. I recognised him.
He took advantage of me.
I took advantage. Yeah, 100%.
Took advantage of a poor drunk ginger actor. And then got the script to Matt, and he saw potential in it. And basically,
just a great setup, a great fun, simple conceit, just a wild night where, you pitch it better than I do, but someone who's terrified of girls who, the one night he gets set up on a date, he's set up with serial killers. And it's like, that justifies...
But they're more than serial killers though, aren't they?
Oh yeah, no, they have a whole game plan, but that justifies...
But I mean, there's a supernatural element to them to a certain degree.
There is a bit, there's stuff going on there, yeah. It was important to us that the female characters weren't just your stock psycho girls.
Yes.
We wanted them to have a bit of heart and soul.
Yeah, and a different dynamic, the sisters being two quite different personalities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're also, me and Matt, we've found out, are both the youngest with two older sisters in our families.
Which is strange.
Because obviously it explains the film why we're so terrified of women.
But also, like, the younger sister in the film is the one that's led by the older one, I suppose, isn't she?
Yeah.
And it's the more sensitive one, I suppose.
She hasn't found a way to sort of stick up for herself in the same way that Danny's character Jim hasn't quite found the way to stick up for themselves, because they're both in the shadow of quite dominating characters, and hopefully part of the film is about standing on your own 2 feet and doing it your own way.
Sure. But this movie is, I mean, for you as a first-time writer and obviously star of the film, it's really beautifully made. I mean, it looks like you've had a pretty decent budget, or if it wasn't, then you made it. You pushed it as far as you could with what you had. By the looks of it, it looks beautiful. Really beautifully shot and directed.
Great
performances are great.
Great cinematographer. First time.
Who is the cinematographer again?
She's a woman called Laura Bellingham. She's a National Film and TV School graduate. Made a lot of high-end shorts. This was her first feature, but her and Ben, the director, had made several things together and just had a real working relationship, good shorthand, trusted each other, and they had the same references having read the script. So although the script reads like a comedy, going into the film a lot of the visual references were based around horror. So Giallo came up a lot, Dario Argento, Suspiria. Some of the strong colour palettes of some of the sequences was very much from kind of 70s.
It's a beautiful use of colour in the film.
Very
nice.
Strong reds, strong yellows. So we hopefully it has heart and comedy from Danny, and then Laura and Ben really fought to give it this.
Can I ask a little bit about? I mean, I could ask you so many questions, but and we haven't got that much time. But in terms of locations, you've got some fantastic locations in this film. There's one in particular, is the big house where they live or they hang out anyway.
Yeah.
How did you come about finding that place? That must have been difficult to find, and it becomes it's really iconic. Kind of the beginning of the film, and it's where the finale of the film happens as well.
Yeah, it's a big part of the film. Yeah,
it sort of goes back to the budget a bit. We had a finite amount of money. We knew we had to be smart with it. A third of the film takes place in what amounts to a studio space, but it's not. It's an old curtain factory that's been hollowed out, and we built rooms in there. So the nightclub is a build in the factory. The basement is a build in the factory. The toilets were built in the factory. And then we found this place called Bricket Wood near St Albans, which is an old estate that was then owned by HSBC for years, which has lots of different buildings on it. But at the heart of it, there's this manor house.
It's completely derelict. It had like empty. It was quite spooky. Big
Sounds
empty.
fantastic.
Houses.
Sounds like a perfect location.
It's awesome, but it's used for commercials. It's been in lots of films before, but it's so diverse that you can kind of make it your own. And about 6
How
or
about
7
the cellar where they go down into the cellar?
That's a build.
That was a build.
That was in a studio.
Right.
We cheated a part on the house, which is the grate, where you go into the grate as if you're going down, and that linked the house to the set build.
Fantastic.
And then the basement was all just
So tell me about the rest of the cast. You know, you've got a fantastic cast here.
Yeah.
So how did you pull those guys together? I mean, you were were you always going to play that role?
Yeah. I was always playing. I wrote in the script, Jim, ginger, 6'2".
Okay.
Looks
This
like
is
this.
me.
Yeah, put a little picture.
terrified of women.
Terrified of women. And then, so Matt was always good at kind of making sure that I was always in that role. And I wanted to write myself a lead role because those are not the parts that I would normally go up for. I'm normally the friend. And so I wanted to try and do a lead. But then we got really, really lucky with Kelly was always involved. Kelly Wenham, who plays Kitty, she was always involved. We shot a little teaser trailer. She auditioned and played Kitty, and then we just kept her as Kitty.
She's so strong in the film.
She's very, very strong.
Yeah.
She's great. But then we didn't have a Lulu or a Alex a week before we started shooting.
Oh my God.
We were sweating a little bit.
Yes.
But luckily we had this amazing casting director called Anna Kennedy, who pretty much said, here's a room, here's Michael Soccer, here's Georgia Groom, you're basically going to work with them and they'll be great. And then we met them and they were perfect straight away.
Wow.
I mean, I knew Georgia and Michael's work separately from different things. Michael from short films from friends of mine he'd made in the Midlands, and Georgia just from really early stuff she'd done, like London to Brighton. So you knew them and you knew they were great actors, but maybe you hadn't seen them do this sort of thing. And
before. Also to be thrown at the deep end, not knowing, how you would work together and how the chemistry would work, but it seems like it really worked because it shows on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, you and Michael hung out a bit before the shoot, didn't you? You had a shopping trip together where
we went and bought costumes and stuff. But to be honest, as soon as I met Michael, because that to me that was the key was the relationships, and because you've got a best friend relationship, you've got sisters, so they have to feel very real and natural.
Absolutely.
And so I knew when I met Michael, because his background is Shane Meadows and improvisational, he's very good at just creating instant.
Being dropped into it and having to come up with something.
He loves it.
Awesome.
I think he actually thrives on it, on the fact that he didn't really have much prep, and so you just turn on the camera and go, Mike. And
so was there some ad-libbing in
a lot
ad-libbing in the film? Yeah.
I mean, around this, everybody knew the point of the scene and the beat of the scene, and they knew the heart of their character. But if you had a great line or a funny line, or if these boys were just riffing off each other,
keep going with it. Cameras rolling. Yeah, excellent.
When you've got Michael Soccer on set, you got to let him do a bit, because he just some of the funniest lines are things he just
comes out with.
And Georgia as well. I mean, actually, a lot of Georgia's ad-lib stuff she did, and it was kind of slightly off-tone from her character, so it wasn't something that...
What about some of your supporting cast as well? Because you had, Dexter Fletcher's in it and various other...
I mean, Dexter ad-libbed a lot today.
Dexter came on, and we said, you can say what you want, and he went, oh, brilliant. So the whole Jaffa cake thing was just something that he just started talking about Jaffa cakes. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. He had a lot of fun, and so we got really lucky with the cast.
I love the scene when you go back to your character's parents' house. That's so funny.
It's bonkers.
How did that come? Was that always in the script?
Yeah.
It was different incarnations. We always knew that we were going to meet Jim's parents and Michael's
And your dad is played by Glenister.
Robert
Glenister. I get the two brothers mixed up.
Who I'd worked with before, and I always try and get Robert in our films.
And he's
brilliant.
Amazing. Amazing. Again, he just came in and totally nailed it. So that scene was always in the film, but there was different incarnations. It was
very funny.
They were a bit more. It was a bit more of a normal family scene before, and then Matt, I think, was just like, I think we need to just ramp this scene up a lot and make them.
Well, we had a live reading.
The idea with the t-shirts, was that always there? Because they all wear t-shirts with your
with
face on it. It's your
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah. We came up with the distorted thing after we.
The distorted
kind of bizarre.
thing. And I think that's just me being an egotist, just wanting everyone on set with a picture of my face on their chest.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a little bit about the effects work on it, because there's quite a lot of blood and gore effects in this, and also some major fight sequences.
Oh yeah.
And really beautifully choreographed fight sequences. I thought.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you stage those? Because those things are really hard to do, particularly on a lowish budget movie.
I think you've just got to ring fence things that are important to the film, and it was a conversation with Ben. This is how much time we've got, this is how much money we've got, what's important to you? And straight away he said, that bit where it says in the script, they fight.
Yeah.
I want to make that a number, I really want to go to town on that.
Because that's literally what it said in the script. I wrote, they have a fight, and he came up with this 10-page choreographed thing.
He wrote it up, he then storyboarded it, he then hired a dojo and got 2 fight instructors to block it while he shot it, then he cut that.
Did it prove to be difficult in terms of the schedule though? I mean, those kind of sequences take a lot of time to shoot, don't they?
We ring-fenced 2 days, and it was always going to be 2 days, and these were the worst 2 days of Danny's time on set, because he had nothing to do.
I went
yes, because you're not really
in another room.
You're not really in that sequence.
Yeah. Ben was having the time of his life, because he loves doing scenes like that, but I would just go, Ben, I'm going to shoot off. There's no jokes. Everyone's just smashing things up.
Yeah, they just destroyed a room in order. And if
was that in the big house that you shot?
It was in the big house. Yeah, we dressed one of the rooms. They destroyed it in order. Only about 10 people were able to be in there, and if you weren't in there, you had to watch it on the monitor or go for a walk.
And what about some of the gore effects? Because particularly in the scenes in the cellar, you've got some particularly gory stuff in there.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have someone? Oh, you obviously had someone in particular doing the kind of makeup
We've
effects.
got a guy called Dan Martin.
Who does a lot of horror. He's
kind
a bit
of
of a
go-to
legend.
prosthetics guy, SFX guy, especially if there's a lot of blood work. And then our makeup woman, Scarlett O'Connell, I'd worked with before, and she specialises in blood and prosthetics as well.
Yeah,
so
she was great.
2 people we trusted and knew, again, on our budget would kind of work wonders. And we wanted it to be bloody, didn't we? Like, I'm almost surprised we got a 15 certificate.
Yeah.
Because hopefully when the violence happens, we kind of go
Pretty
for
brutal.
It. But,
It can be pretty brutal, yeah. But I loved all that. I was in heaven, all the gory stuff at the end. And I don't want to give too much away, but there are some limbs at the end of the film, which
limbs that aren't attached to bodies.
Yeah, exactly. Some severed limbs that I got to keep, and now they're on my shelf in my bedroom, freaking people out.
And you wonder why women don't.
Well, I wonder why I'm single. Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, it's been great having you here today.
Pleasure.
I love the film, so I'm sure it's going to be a great success. It's getting a release, I think, very soon, actually.
Next Friday.
Next Friday,
the
right?
13th.
It's fantastic, and I believe it's doing quite a lot of cinema screenings, which is fantastic.
About 80, I think.
Yes,
that's
really good.
that's
for a little
For a little
film,
film,
That
yeah.
is exceptional. So well done.
Good job. Thank you very much. We're happy to be here.
Cheers.
Well, thank you.